Hi, I'm Bruce Frankel, and welcome. I'm Chief Business Architect for Business Authority. First of its kind, eCampus and Accelerator focuses on supporting entrepreneurs 50 plus. I'm thrilled to introduce our guest and Business Authority Pro partner, Michael Taylor, an inspirational speaker, author, and the visionary founder of the Joypreneur Network. Michael has dedicated his life to empowering individuals in their second act, helping them discover the joy and fulfillment that comes from entrepreneurship later in life. Get ready to be inspired by his wisdom, energy, and passion for creating opportunities beyond midlife. Welcome, Michael. As always, it's so good to be with you.
Absolutely, Bruce. So glad to be here and just loving the fact that we've put this process together, this unique opportunity for people over 50, because that's one of the passions of mine. So I'm really glad to be a part of it.
So happy to be with you. I'm going to run through a few quick questions just to give people a taste of who you are and how your mind works. Can you share a bit about your journey and what led you to create the Joypreneur Network and motivated you to become a part of Business Authority?
Well, if I go back just a little bit, at the age of 23, I was living the American dream. By the age of 29, that dream turned into a nightmare as I went through a divorce, bankruptcy, foreclosure, depression, and I was homeless for 2 years. And after rebuilding my life, I wanted to share the lessons I learned along my transformational journey. So I started writing and speaking about personal development and overcoming obstacles. And I've always had a passion for entrepreneurship. And as a matter of fact, I knew when I was 10 years old that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I started my first company when I was 14 years old. So after going through all those adversities that I mentioned, I knew that I wanted to create a niche, which was empowering men and women over 50 to create extraordinary lives. And so I've been writing and speaking about that for the past 15, 20 years.
Fantastic. When you think about the challenges that you see entrepreneurs over 50 having today, how do you believe that Business Authority and the Joypreneur Network can help address those challenges?
Well, first of all, I'm an optimist. That's the lens through which I see the world. And despite what we see in mainstream media, I believe there's never been a better time to become an entrepreneur. And that's why I launched the Joypreneur Network. And so what I'm seeing is that men and women over 50 are really hungry for resources that can support and empower them on that second half of life, if you will. And I think that's a unique niche that Business Authority has tapped into. And so my job is to support and empower men and women over 50 to become entrepreneurs and to understand that I believe entrepreneurship should be fun. Obviously, being an entrepreneur is challenging. I don't want to take that away. But at the same time, I don't think it should be an experience where we're working 100 and 150 hours a week, stressed out, pulling our hair out, worried about things. I believe entrepreneurship should be an expression of our creativity and passion. And so what my work is about helping men and women understand that it is supposed to be fun and it can be exciting and it can be filled with joy.
That's great. And that somewhat anticipates what my next question was going to be. But if you want to add to it, which is what differentiates joypreneurship from entrepreneurship?
Well, we live in a capitalistic society that has promoted this idea about attaining and accumulating wealth or stuff, right? It's like that's the end goal. That's how can I make money? Well, as a joypreneur, what I say is we focus on making a difference before we focus on making a profit. Now, I believe they go hand in hand. I believe that you can make as much money as you want. You can be as successful as you want, but not at the expense of your own soul. So the Joypreneur Network is about creating a space where people can come in. And I put a lot of emphasis on universal laws and principles and spirituality. And I think that's missing in a lot of entrepreneurial programs because most entrepreneur programs teach us the mechanics of running a business. But I say it's if we go a little bit deeper and talk about the essence of the business, which is the entrepreneur themselves. And that's what I focus on. I help entrepreneurs understand who they truly are and allow them to express who they are and what they love to do.
I love that, Michael. And, I was thinking about that what you're really speaking about is changing the goal from just aiming for success to aiming for significance. Uh,
Yeah.
and that's a beautiful thing.
And what I'm noticing, Bruce, is that there are a lot of entrepreneurs that are embracing what some people might call compassionate capitalism. Now, there's a lot of negativity around capitalism, I believe, that, politicians will talk about, the 3% making more money than the other 90%, as though capitalism is a bad thing. I don't see it that way. I believe capitalism can be a wonderful thing. Matter of fact, I think the free enterprise system is the best thing ever happened, right? But the problem, I think, which has been, is that if we don't have a sense of being connected to something greater than ourselves and serving humanity, then we get focused on just making money. And so I believe, again, we should focus on making a difference. And in doing so, we can also be paid handsomely for what we're doing.
I couldn't agree more, and I love the way you phrase that. Do you think you can share a success story of how you've helped transform someone's life or business trajectory in your work?
Yeah, that's a great question because I wrote a book called The New Face of Entrepreneurship. And in the book, I have two chapters. One chapter says it's not about the money. And then the second chapter says it's all about the money. And so a person who read the book sent me an email, says, I was a little confused at the beginning because you said it's not about the money, then you said it's all about the money. But when I tied it all together, it made perfect sense. Because what I'm saying in those two chapters is when I talk about it's not about the money, it's talking about finding your purpose and your passion, right? And when you do that first, the money will flow. And in the chapter where I talk about it is about the money, I talk about the mechanics of how important it is to, have a great bookkeeper, understanding accounting, understand profitability. So those parts are important. But most people, I think, have it flipped. They focus so much on the mechanics, but don't understand the essence of it. And that's what my work is about. Kind of switching those roles. And this person that read the book was just absolutely thrilled that I had incorporated spirituality into being an entrepreneur. And again, I don't promote any type of religion. I say that there is a power greater than yourself. You can call it whatever you want to call it. But ultimately, I believe as human beings, we all have unique gifts and talents. And if I can help you find your unique gifts and talents and help you put that in the form of a business, you'll create something that's more rewarding and fulfilling. And that's what my work is about.
So what would you advise someone who's considering joining Business Authority or Joypreneur Network, especially if they're feeling uncertain about the next steps in their entrepreneurial journey, if they're ready for entrepreneurship, they're thinking about creating a business, they're not sure if they're ready?
Well, I read an interesting stat the other day, and it said that the most productive time in human beings' lifespan is usually between 60 and 70. And I thought, wow, that's kind of interesting, between 60 and 70. And so as I think about that, for the people that are thinking about, maybe they've had a career, maybe they've retired and they're trying to figure out what to do next. Well, entrepreneurship is the great thing to do next. It's if you've had a career and you've retired and you're just kind of trying to figure out what to do, being an entrepreneur is a great way to find fulfillment and meaning, obviously additional income. And so the BA Business Authority 50 Plus, I think, is a perfect resource for people because there aren't a lot of spaces that really focus on men and women over 50. And that's what I love about this. I'm 63. I still consider myself to be a young kid. As a matter of fact, I'm already setting an intention to live to be 100. That's just my goal. And so I know that I've got a good 30 more productive years left in me. And so within the BA network, what I'm trying to do is inspire people over 50 to recognize that, they say that midlife is at 50, right? Approximately. Well, if the average lifespan is 78, midlife is actually around 38, right? 39. So most people wait and say, well, at 64, I've only got, 14 years left before, I'm going to die or something. Well, see, I help people change their mindsets to say, you know what? Even at 60, even at 70, I've got 20, 25 productive years left. So what can I do? How about becoming an entrepreneur? I think that's a great opportunity for people to express their talents, have some fun, keep themselves occupied, and find meaning in their lives.
I couldn't agree more. And I think all the statistics bear out that entrepreneurs 50 plus are actually the most successful cohort of entrepreneurs, other than 40 to 45. but more likely to create businesses that last, more likely to create high worth businesses, and more likely to create businesses that are industry disruptors. I recently found a study done in Switzerland of German companies that showed that. So there are lots of statistics to back up what you say. It's not just your wishful thinking, it's actually statistically true. So I completely agree. And I'm 74, and my plan is the same as yours, brother. So and I always feel as if, every day is another day in which to create a great opportunity to create something good. So when you're not working, Michael, which I know you work a lot and you write a lot and you think a lot about things, where do you put your energy and why? Where do you get your joy?
Well, first and foremost, I've been blissfully married for the past 22 years. And I have come to know and believe and understand that the most important aspect of my life is, first of all, my relationship with self and something greater than myself, and then my relationship with my wife. And having that special person in my life who absolutely loves and adores me and is my biggest cheerleader. I, I just love how she loves me and how she's always in my corner. That brings me a lot of joy. And of course, being a father and being a grandfather, I don't take those things for granted. I feel really blessed to have been an excellent father because it's something I committed to at an early age. And having two grandkids, 9 and 4, I just spent the last weekend with them at a trampoline park, hanging out with them. And that's what brings me joy. So when I'm not writing and speaking, I'm hanging out with family, or I'm hanging out at the movie theater, checking out the latest hit movie. And in my spare time, I love listening to 70s and 80s soul music.
Sounds good to me. What 1 to 3, just a couple of the most important takeaways that you hope people retain or you'd like to send people away with?
First and foremost, be optimistic. Contrary to mainstream media, it is my belief is that there's never been a better time to be alive on the planet than right now. I don't deny all the challenges, but at the same time, I see so many opportunities. And for those of us who are over 50 plus, I think those opportunities are even greater because, as you mentioned, our most productive years are generally when we're older. And so I'm sending off this optimistic message. Be optimistic because when we're optimistic, it just fills us up with more energy to do and accomplish more things. So be optimistic would be my message.
Well, great. Well, thank you very much, Michael, for taking the time to share your thoughts with us tonight, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.
It is my pleasure, Bruce. Glad to be a part of Business Authority 50 Plus.
Wonderful. Have a good night.